that St. Patrick spent time in the island. We can't be certain about that, but we do know that very early on after St. Patrick, on that island here, do you see this island over here? A monastery was founded, definitely by the 6th century. We know in fact the name of the first abbot. His name is Davog, St. Davog. He died in 580. And if you look over just to the shore, do you see the nearest point there? It's quite a narrow gap. Do you see on the left is something bright? There's actually a cross there, a nice silver cross. When the sun is shining on it, it's quite bright. That marks where that bridge I spoke about would have been. And it was probably a wooden bridge. And of course these were very dangerous times, so the island offered some level of protection. We believe that the monastery was to the far end over this area here. Probably mainly a wooden structure. There isn't much stone or rock around. There probably was no stone round tower, for example. And basically that was the monastic community, would have continued for centuries, been ravaged and destroyed several times, rebuilt several times. But at some point some monks moved over here. And again, whether they were trying to be hermits or anchorites, there were two different ways at that time of encountering God, spirituality that were recognized. One was you travel the world like a pilgrim, realizing that nowhere on this earth have you a place to lay your head, and so you became a kind of a lifelong pilgrim. And the other was to wander nowhere, in fact to enclose yourself in one place. There are two different ways in a sense of relation to time and space. So the other way was to actually enclose yourself like we still have today enclosed monasteries and sisters. So they went into kind of almost like a cell. And in fact, anchorites were actually walled in. So people were completely dependent on people from outside to bring them in food and so on. And you know, many monasteries had some sister or monk who dedicated themselves to lives in that way. But of course these people were considered to be very spiritual, and people who wanted spiritual peace or refuge in themselves would come to them. And at some stage the word sanctuary became associated with Lough Derg, and the word in Irish, Charman, is related to that, and is the name of the river nearby here. This whole area. So we call it St. Patrick's Purgatory, but it's also St. Patrick's Sanctuary, and I think that's a very important term for today, that people have this sense of refuge and safety here and protection, as we can see many pilgrims enjoy when they come here. So the pilgrimage has undergone many different formats over the centuries that it's been in existence, the oldest certainly in Europe, but there's more continuity than discontinuity. The idea of spending some time in preparation over on that island to come here, to spend time in a cave here, a time of intense prayer, of fasting. At some point the barefoot dimension would have come into as well, probably about the 17th century. And the format we have today would have been 9 days originally, and then reduced to 3, which it is now and continues to be. And the numbers remain extraordinarily strong when you think about it. I mean, in the 17th century, we have records, I think, of about 3 or 4 or 5,000 might have been common enough. Certainly at one period before the famine, it was in the 30,000s, and then it declined at the start of the last century. About 100 years ago, the numbers would be much less than they are now, which is very interesting to think about. You know, that it's actually so relative to maybe 20 years ago, the numbers are fewer now than they were 20 years ago, but relative to 100 years ago, they're actually much higher. And that's a very important point to bear in mind.